Hey there, everybody. I decided to try my hand at my very first tabletop review. Specifically, this is a 308 caliber or AR-10 style or AR-308 build that I did personally that I am very much pleased to say that it is probably one of the nicest builds I've ever done, and I'm enjoying this rifle quite a bit. Um, Basically, I'm just going to go ahead and break down the rifle a little bit, just go over the build in detail, and show you guys what went into it, and specifically why this build is kind of special to me. For starters, this build is a 16-inch 308. It was built primarily on an Aero Precision M5E1 receiver set. It has a 12-inch M-Lok handguard, and basically the rest of the components that went into the build were primarily Faxon, Aero Precision, and just a few little special ingredients that I sprinkled in here and there. The scope that's sitting on top is a Vortex Strike Eagle 1:6 power. It's a 30 millimeter scope, and it is the OPMOD edition. Um, Essentially, that just means it's an Optics Planet exclusive, and really the only difference between it and the just the regular Strike Eagle is that this one is Cerakoted in flat dark earth, which I think is pretty cool. It matches the build quite nicely, actually. As far as other notable components in the build, we have up front, attached to the muzzle, that is a VG6, VG762 Epsilon muzzle brake. This is a 3-chamber muzzle brake, which it does have some prongs on the front, which give you a fair amount of flash suppression. And other than that, this brake is a beast. It tames the recoil quite nicely. It is actually melanited, I believe, so it has a really nice finish on it, and it actually matches the barrel finish quite nicely. Um, as far as the guts of the rifle, we actually have a Faxon 308 bolt carrier group, and it is mated to a Faxon 16-inch big gunner barrel. I'll be showing you guys the barrel and the gas block and a few of the, I guess, the details that actually make the M5E1 receiver set quite unique, and why I believe basically it's the best value that you can find on the market these days for builders, because it has some really unique features at a really attractive price point, and it gives you a lot of bang for your buck. It really gives you a lot of bang for your buck. But let's actually dive in and take a closer look at this rifle. So at the tail end, we actually have a LaRue Apeg grip. I actually like these grips. I just kind of stumbled upon them a couple years ago when I was doing a prior build, and LaRue was actually running a special where these grips were, I think they were only on sale for like $12.99 or something like that. But I picked up a couple, and I've just never looked back. They have a really nice grip angle, especially for rifles. And I mean, it's really nice. It's got a really good palm swell to it, as you can see. Really nice texturing. Very non-slip type of finish that it has on it with the, I guess, stippling or checkering that you would call it. And overall, it's just a really nice grip for the money. As far as the safety that I chose, I actually went with a Seekins. This is just their ambidextrous 45, or excuse me, their 60 and 45 degree safety. Um, it's nice. It's got a really nice positive throw, and very solid, as you can hear. It's not overly easy to actuate. It requires a nice little amount of effort, but not too much. Very nice. Also went with a Seekins magazine release button. As far as the trigger, this is actually a trigger that I picked up from DSG Arms. It's actually their brand, or it's, their branded trigger. It's a nickel boron two-stage. It actually is attached with some anti-rotation trigger pins, but it's a really nice trigger. I mean, it's probably not Geisley nice, but it's quite nice for the money. I believe it was only $87 anyway. At the time, that was pretty much the best deal that I could find for a nickel boron coated two-stage trigger. Um, but I mean, it's quite nice. It's probably got about a 4.5 pound break, maybe even less than that. Uh, just to show an example of what it's like real quick here. Weapon is actually clear, so no worries there. Just take my word for it. But as far as what the break is like, it's got a very light amount of take up there. Very crisp wall. And then once you start to pull, let's check this out. Very crisp break. Also has quite the positive reset as well. Just check this out. See? Not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah, just picking up from where we left off. At the rear of the rifle, we actually have the BCM Gunfighter sopmod stock. Uh, it's really similar to the just the OG Gunfighter. The only difference is it has a nice little cheek weld, more pronounced cheek weld that the original version of the stock does not have. It's a nice stock. It slides over the tube very well, very firm or tight fit, I should say. Um, but other than that, it's comfortable. I actually chose it because it was very lightweight. I like the look. It's a decent stock, no complaints with it. I actually went with a PWS Ratchet lock castle nut. I actually like this quite a bit. This is the second time I've used one on a build, but essentially um, it just ratchets into place. It actually has a detent right in the middle of the screen right there. So as you install the castle nut, it just basically ratchets into place and then it locks via that detent right there. Let me try to focus here. But of course, right beneath that detent, you see there's a nice little quick detach slot, or QD socket, I should say. Mincing my words here. But other than that, I actually really recommend these. They actually just make the building process that much easier. Yeah, they're a couple dollars more than just your basic mil-spec, end plate and castle nut, but they just set your build off that much nicer. Very easy to install, and as long as you apply the correct amount of torque when you're installing them, they're actually very solid. Um, I have absolutely no worries about this system coming loose. Again, I highly recommend it. It's about $29 most places when you can find it in stock. Very nice. Highly recommended. Just moving on here, I'm actually using the Raptor ambidextrous charging handle. This is the regular model, not the ST, so it actually has the aluminum handles and latch. Highly recommend this charging handle as well. It provides a very substantial amount of purchase and grip area that you can grab onto, especially if you're running a scope or if you have any sort of backup sights. Highly recommended. It's probably the best option as far as charging handles, particularly with ambidextrous charging handles on the market, in my opinion. Obviously a little more expensive than most, but highly recommended. If you didn't know, basically the bolt carrier group and the barrel particularly are literally the heart and soul of any rifle, in particular with ARs. Um, these are probably the two components, specifically the barrel and the bolt carrier group, that you don't want to skimp on with any build. For the particular bolt carrier group that I have here, this is actually a Faxon 308 bolt carrier group. I specifically chose this just because, well, I actually wanted my bolt and my barrel to match. Just basically having them being the same brand. Faxon is, I guess, a little newer on the scene compared to other brands, but they are highly respected, and they build some of the best components on the market for the money. And the specs of this particular bolt carrier group, again, for the money, are just extremely hard to beat. It actually has a QPQ super finish, as Faxon calls it. It's extremely smooth, extremely slick. As you can see, there's a little bit of wear on it because I've actually been shooting this rifle. It is not a safe queen by any stretch of the imagination, but very high quality bolt carrier group. As you can see, the staking, very nice. Those are grade 8 fasteners, high quality stuff. The gas key is, I believe, 4140 billet steel. It is QPQ nitrided as well, so it's extremely slick, extremely durable. It actually has a 4340 cam pin, I believe, also nitrided, so high quality stuff there. Specifically with the bolt is actually one of the highlights of the bolt carrier group, particularly because Faxon does something with their bolts that a lot of other manufacturers don't do. It's going to be really hard to capture on camera, but basically they chamfer the rear of the bolt lugs at a 45-degree angle. So basically they cut like this little relief on there at an angle to aid in basically performance. It just decreases friction whenever the bolt goes into battery and the barrel extension. Supposedly it's supposed to help with reliability, bolt life, wear, particularly on the lugs and the barrel extension. And I do see it as a reliability enhancement. Um, I really don't know why other big name bolt manufacturers don't do this more often, or at least implement this feature more so. But I find it to be highly desirable. I really see it as a good thing. The bolt itself is actually made of 9310 tool steel. It also has been QPQ super finished. It has an S7 tool steel extractor, which is probably one of the stronger uh, type of extractors that you'll find on the market. S7 tool steel, I should say, is one of the harder metals commonly used for tools, or excuse me, commonly used for extractors and other bolt carrier group components. Um, it is definitely beefy to say the least. It does come with the O-ring installed with the extractor over the extractor spring to aid in extractor tension and reliability. This bolt carrier group actually has a single ejector, unlike some that are coming with dual ejectors these days. Do I see that as a problem? Nah, not at all. I've actually got somewhere around about 600 rounds through this rifle so far, and I have not had a single failure to date, not even one. But this is a very high quality bolt carrier group. I like it quite a bit. No regrets with it at all. It's a little dirty right now. There's a little bit of wear on there, obviously, because, again, it's actually seen use, but high quality stuff, without a doubt. One really good feature about this rifle and about this builder set in particular that I purchased, I guess, well, let me give you a little background. Aero Precision actually sells builder sets in which they sell the lower receiver, the upper receiver, and the handguard as one complete package. It doesn't come with any other components, but just basically I guess you could say the primary things that you need to get started with your build. This handguard in particular is actually the 12-inch M-Lok variant. It has QD attachment points at 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and over on the underside at 9 o'clock. It is an M-Lok handguard. And as far as the 12-inch variant, I actually chose this specifically because I'm running the POF Dictator adjustable gas block, as you can see underneath the rail. And this gas block actually has a 10 position adjustment feature. And I chose this handguard specifically because I didn't want the handguard to extend too far over the gas block, so I wouldn't be able to easily adjust it with, a shorter screwdriver. Because cool thing is, you can actually adjust the gas settings. It's kind of hard to see, but I'll show you a better picture, or a better view, I should say, in a minute. But yeah, you can actually adjust the gas settings right at the front of the gas block. Again, it has 10 positions, very high quality gas block. I actually had my barrel dimpled and installed the gas block over it, so it's much more secure than just using standard set screws. In my opinion, I would say that dimpling or pinning your gas block is a must whenever you use a nitrided QPQ barrel. Reason being is because, of course, if you're familiar with nitriding, uh, it's a surface treatment that impregnates the substrate of the surface of the steel with nitrogen and essentially makes it extra hard. Because of that, it also makes the surface of the metal extra slick as well. So unlike just your regular old school barrels that have been phosphated or parkerized, and they don't have any sort of QPQ nitride treatment, your set screws on your gas block will bite into those pretty easily. But on nitrided barrels, they don't get as good as a bite. So dimpling your barrels, or getting the gas blocks pinned into place, is, at least in my opinion, a really solid idea. Alright, so at this point I want to show you guys what makes the Aero Precision M5E1 so special in my eyes. Which, this is of course an AR-10 style rifle, or AR-308. They also do this with their M4E1 rifles as well, but essentially what they have here, or what they've done here, is their upper receiver is proprietary, but as you can see here, this is actually an extension of the receiver. This is all one piece. It is not attached. This is actually a forging, and that is, again, all part of the receiver. So as you can see, it actually has 8 screw holes on here, where your handguard and your receiver come with these 8 little torque screws. But those screws are what holds your handguard into place. So the system is completely free floating. So it does allow you to free float your barrel, which of course leads to enhanced accuracy and repeatable accuracy more than anything. But it uses pretty similar to what looks to be a standard barrel nut. So your standard AR-15 armors, wrenches will work with this. But as you can see, the gas tube actually slides into this channel, I guess you could say. So it lines up your gas tube and your gas block installation for you. And of course, it goes straight into receiver to the bolt carrier group. But it's a very, very solid system. This screw right here, as you can see, is actually a set screw that holds your I believe this actually holds your port cover door rod in place. I think that's what it does. It's been so long since I played with it. But anyway, if I'm wrong, just somebody correct me in the comments. It's cool. But as far as the barrel that I went with in this particular build, this is also a Faxon made barrel. This is their 16-inch big gunner barrel, to be specific. It is actually a very lightweight profile barrel. As you can see, most of the meat to the barrel is up front near the chamber. Then it actually tapers down, and it swells to a .75 gas block seat. And here in all its glory, we have the POF Dictator gas block. I actually just wanted to try like a high-end gas block for this build. Basically, I would definitely say anybody who's looking to build a large frame AR, whether it's a 308, a 6.5 Creedmoor, 260 Remington, whatever, should definitely invest in an adjustable gas block. They just basically make your build go together so much easier, and ultimately they make your rifle much more reliable, since most large frame ARs tend to be grossly overgassed, at least in most cases. Not all, but most. But anyway, the adjustable gas block is definitely a very, very, very desirable feature to have anytime you want to put together a large frame AR. But this one, I just decided to spare no expense and get probably the best and coolest gas block that I could get. What sets this one apart is, of course, it is adjustable first and foremost, but unlike a lot of the cheaper set screw style adjustable gas blocks, this one has this nice little dial up front, which it actually comes with a tool that allows you to turn it, but you can actually just use any flat-headed screwdriver or anything that has, you know, a flat tip that you can get off in that channel, turn it and adjust it. Again, it adjusts in nice little clicks, so, you know, it's very precise, or, you know, very deliberate settings that it has. When you buy this gas block, it actually comes just as you see it. The gas tube is already pre-installed and pre-pinned into place. This is a mid-length gas block, and another cool thing about it is it uses a straight gas tube, unlike the you know, standard AR tube where it's, you know, starts off kind of low right here, then it has that nice little arch, and then it curves up to go straight to the receiver. This one is just straight all the way through. I probably would venture to guess most benefits to a straight gas tube are perceived, but not only does it look better, in my opinion, it's just a really smooth operating system. I can tell you for a fact that shooting this rifle, at least after I've had the gas dialed in, it is an extremely smooth shooter. But other than that, this is what I decided to go with on this build. Uh, Again, this particular gas block, I did end up dimpling the barrel, which, again, since nitrided or QPQ melanited barrels are super hard, I actually had to use a carbide drilling bit to break through that steel since it was so hard. I actually had some cobalt and tin coated drill bits that they just ended up getting chewed right up because the barrel steel is actually harder than those drill bits. So if you guys ever need to do that yourselves, I highly, highly recommend just getting a carbide drill bit. That way you can do it right the first time. But anyway, that's essentially what sets this build apart and what makes it so special to me. I believe the optic that I have on here, again, the Vortex Strike Eagle, it's a 1x6. Wasn't really looking for too much magnification here because it's not like I'm going to be shooting this thing past 600 yards anyway. This is pretty much a build that I had the philosophy of use that I was probably going to be shooting between 100 and 400 yards primarily, and I didn't need all that super high level of magnification. So that's pretty much what worked for me. Otherwise, is there anything I'm missing here? Probably not really. I would say that the Aero Precision handguards, this handguard is actually super lightweight. Don't let the bulkiness and the size fool you. It is very lightweight. As far as these backup sights, I went with these are the Diamondhead Night Bright polymer sights. They're pretty neat. I think I got these on sale at Primary Arms, but they just flip up with the push of a button, and they lock back into place via detent. Nice satisfying click whenever you lock them into place. Other than that, they just look pretty cool. The whole night bright aspect of the name comes from the, as you can see there, it's got a nice little glow in the dark front sight post that when used at night, it glows sufficiently, I guess. You can adjust the elevation directly from the front sight as well. But yeah, pretty neat. Nice little package altogether. This particular build, I might actually show it in just a moment, but the build naked with actually just with the these handguard rail panels, the sights, no optic, no magazine, This whole rifle naked, as described, actually came in at 8 pounds, 1.5 ounces, which is really nice because this is a very handy rifle. I mean, for a 308, it's just barely over 8 pounds. It balances super well. As you can see, there's hardly any weight up front. Um, I would dare say this thing actually balances better than a Scar 17, which I have handled on multiple occasions. But it's literally around Scar 17 weight as well. But it is just all in all a very pleasant shooter, very awesome build. Um, I've probably done 10 plus AR builds over the last several years. This is probably one of my favorites and one of the ones that I'm most proud of. Again, it's super sweet shooter, very light recoil for a 308, especially a 16-inch mid-length 308 at that. Um, but it's just been a super awesome rifle. I've taken it out to the range a couple times now and haven't done any real formal accuracy testing just yet. I did run some 168 grain federal gold medal match through this rifle, and at 100 yards, it's safe to say that she can produce sub MOA groups without too much effort. Um, with spirited shooting, of course, with this thin profile barrel, it eventually does start to string its shots, but it's actually not that bad. It's quite consistent considering the profile of the barrel. But other than that, it's just a really awesome rifle, really awesome build. Probably the last thing that I would want to show you guys is one of the more unique things that sets this rifle apart. All right, what do we have here? All right, yeah, this is definitely one of the more unique aspects of this rifle and why I believe it is such a sweet shooter and a sweet performer as well. But as you can already see right off the bat, this is not your standard AR buffer assembly. This is something completely different. Let me open this up a little bit. But here we go. This is actually an Armaspec SRS recoil assembly. Um, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the JP silent capture spring or the silent capture buffer system, but this is not necessarily a clone, but it's extremely similar in how it operates. It is a self-contained buffer system. It actually has a nice little rubber ring that actually is what is actually what makes contact with the rear of your bolt carrier. So it cushions the blow whenever it cycles. But yeah, this thing right here, man, it completely changes the recoil and the shooting characteristics of the rifle. It definitely takes a lot of the bite and a lot of the sharpness out of shooting and the recoil in general. And coupled with the adjustable gas block and the muzzle brake, oh man, it just makes this thing extremely smooth. Um, this is a very high quality piece. It's actually a lot cheaper than the JP silent capture buffer system. I think I got this on sale, or not on sale, but I think I got this at Joe Bob's Outfitters. It was, I believe, $79.99 or something around there. But in any case, this upgrade right here, this is actually my second one. This upgrade right here, um, I mean, I know most guys don't put a lot of money or a lot of thought into their recoil assembly or their buffer setup, but this thing right here made a huge difference. It takes that annoying sprung sound, you know, that you hear whenever you're shooting an AR. Um, it does make pulling the charging handle back and cycling the action just a tad bit harder. It takes a little bit more effort since it's sprung a lot firmer than the you know, standard buffer spring and carbine assembly that comes with most 308 ARs. But this thing right here it's quite nice, very very nice. Um, Otherwise, as you see, it has. Let me try to focus in on this. But yeah, this is just I guess some sort of polymer that this is actually the rear of the assembly. Goes in the back of your buffer tube. And then as it cycles, as you can see. But anyway, that should give you an idea how it works. Uh, Again, this thing right here makes a nice little difference. I highly recommend it, in particular with any type of large frame AR build that you guys might be looking into yourselves. This thing right here, nice investment. Just taking a quick look at the other side of the rifle. One thing I actually forgot to mention is that I made this rifle as ambidextrous as I could, actually, since I'm a lefty. So what I went with here was actually a Sig Sauer ambidextrous magazine release. Um, these things actually fit both AR-15s and AR-10 style receiver sets. Um, it's pretty decent for the money. I think it was only 20 something dollars. I got it from Optics Planet. And as far as the lower parts kit that was used for this build, I just went with the OEM Aero Precision M5 lower parts kit. Specifically because it actually includes the right-sized pivot pin and takedown pin, which the Aero M5 receiver set actually calls for or recommends the use of the M5 lower parts kit because the pins are the right size. If you decide to build like an M5 receiver set out yourself, you probably want to just pay attention to that, because if you buy like some other brand lower parts kits, some of the components may not be completely compatible, so that's just something to keep in mind. But yeah, overall I would say this rifle was it was really fun to build. It's a complete pleasure to shoot. It's highly accurate. It's relatively lightweight considering it's a 308. And yeah, I like it quite a bit. Um, you know, if you guys like this type of setup, I highly recommend, you know, if you decide to take a shot and build one of these things one day, that, you know, some of the components in this build you give a good long look at, because they, yeah, they make a difference. I will definitely say that. This is actually my fourth 308 build, and it's my most recent one, but when I first started building 308s, I was actually, you know, building like big heavy rifles with 20-inch bull barrels, more set up for, you know, precision, long range type shooting. But now on my fourth iteration here, I'm definitely trending, you know, shorter, lighter weight, handier, but with no sacrifice to reliability, accuracy, and things of that nature. So this rifle right here, I personally feel has a good compromise and a good balance of everything. Uh, but yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite builds to date. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or want to leave some comments, just throw them below. Thanks.